I should bring something.
Oh, Chateau Margaux. How thoughtful and appropriate. Oh, not there. Don't leave it there.
Oh, hang it up, shall I?
Yes, please. What a good idea. Over there. Glasses. I'll fetch glasses.
Yes. And corkscrew.
Oh.
Been a while, hasn't it?
Yes, I thought you'd quite forgotten me.
Sorry. Time flies.
But you're here now anyway.
Proverbial bad penny.
Good of you to come, though.
Thought it the best. Well, the best way.
Thank you. It's not as if we were going to be invited, you know.
To the ceremony. Is that the word?
The interment.
Funeral.
Ugly words. Gives you a shiver.
Up the spine. No. We wouldn't be invited.
Oh, well, come in. Don't stand on ceremony.
Of course, right.
Yeah.
Ah. When will the when will it be? Do you know?
The funeral? Oh.
Yes.
Oh, well, they are, what, 5 hours ahead of us?
Moscow?
St. Petersburg. That's where...
He was living.
Where he died. That's where he died. The funeral's there.
Ah.
Thank you.
Little toast? Huh?
Chateau Margaux. You brought a bottle when he went, didn't you?
Seemed appropriate. Drown our sorrows.
Is that what we're doing now? Drowning our sorrows?
You think so? Are you sorry?
Sorry that he's gone? Oh, no, not really. The grieving was then. Now there's just a sense of release. Maybe it's what everybody calls closure. That's what every victim seems to want.
Still, look at us all dressed in dark clothes.
Like a couple of crows.
Form, that's it, isn't it? For the sake of form.
Observe the rituals, assume the uniform. Widow's weeds, that's what they used to call it.
Believe so. I can't say I'm sorry. That he's gone, that is. Gone for good.
Dead and buried.
Any time now. Buried, that is.
He still, what, irked you?
Thorn in my flesh.
Even now, after how many years?
Even now. Did you still...
What, love him?
Yeah. Did you?
No, that went very soon after. Nothing destroys love like treachery. It's absolute, quite deadly.
Yes. Yes.
And you?
Difficult. One didn't put one's feelings into words. Didn't think about that sort of thing.
Your oldest friend, though.
Doesn't make you wonder about the nature of, well, of friendship.
At school, you were at school together.
He was the first one I spoke to when I arrived. Friends ever since. Then Cambridge. Couldn't be closer to a fellow, really.
But you hardly knew him. We hardly knew him.
Seems not. And you, married 20 years.
Marriage doesn't need to be close, it seems.
Or friendship, it seems.
Doesn't really feel like we were married at all. Just inhabited the same space. Moved in the same circles. Marriage, supposed to be a bond. Mutual support. Difficult to find you wake up one morning and find you've been living with a total stranger.
Here.
Thank you.
The toast then?
Absent friends?
The departed?
Those that are left.
Who are we mourning? We're not sad for him. Must be for ourselves.
Sit, let's sit. Let's make ourselves comfortable.
Oh, righto.
Yes?
Has anyone else been in contact since...
Since he died? Is that what you're trying to say? Who exactly? I mean, who would you expect to make contact?
I don't know. Newspapers? BBC?
Or the Russian embassy?
Oh, no, that's not what I meant at all.
The department?
Oh, certainly not.
No, Tom. No one else has been in touch. Not the papers, not the BBC. Just you.
Ah.
And you were something of a surprise. Haven't exactly kept in touch, have you?
It was difficult.
Rather bleak and pathetic.
What?
Finding out your husband was dead from a brief mention on the BBC.
Was that how...
I heard, yes, just before you phoned.
Really? Yes. I see. Bleak.
Unlikely to hear any other way, I suppose.
Weren't you in touch with any of his people?
Oh, there was only his mother, and she went, oh, I forget how long. She never spoke to me after he went. I think she blamed me for the whole thing.
Friends?
Not likely. I became a social pariah. Everyone just turned their backs. Even you.
Sorry.
I was disappointed that even you dropped me.
Yeah. I did have my hands rather full at the time, dealing with, well, you understand.
Yes, difficult, you said.
I suffered too, you know, socially and professionally. The mud certainly stuck to me, lost the trust of everybody by proxy. And who would want to associate with anyone who'd been involved with that? I'm shown the door, of course. It wasn't so much I left the department as it left me. They found me something, of course, an innocuous little niche, well out of the way, just to keep me quiet. But my career ended there.
Sorry for you.
Not just me, of course. No, he destroyed several lives when he slipped out of the door, made his escape. He probably saw that as his greatest coup. Never mind the others, who took a bullet, or worse.
Grubby.
And Stella left, of course. No point staying hooked up to a has-been. She soon found a more convenient place. I can't say I blame her, really. But did you divorce him?
No. Couldn't see the point of going through the hoops. He was dead to me already. Isn't that the expression?
Never thought of marrying?
Marrying again? After a betrayal like that? Oh, I'd never be able to trust anyone enough for that again.
Yes. That's what he killed for both of us. Trust.
Was it like they said on the BBC? Was it a heart attack?
Yes, quite sudden.
And he was alone? Living alone?
Quite alone. They gave him an apartment in a complex for top party officials. Gave him employment of a sort, and a rank. I expect he adored being a colonel. Uniform. Not much there. But then after they debriefed him, sucked everything useful from him, they just left him alone. I don't suppose they trusted him. Why would they? And he never fitted in.
Do you suppose he was unhappy over there in his new life?
I suspect as much. He wasn't a player anymore in the great game. He's probably scared too. He probably came to the conclusion that since he wasn't useful to them, then ultimately he was dispensable.
Horrible.
Yes. Quite horrible. Nowhere left to run.
And did he despise his class so much that he could betray it? Us?
How can you tell? I don't think it was that. I think he had an amoral twist in his character somewhere. It was all about his being superior and feeding his ego.
So, like us, nobody there at the end. A lonely death after a lonely existence.
Not much to look forward to. Should be about now, I suppose.
Oh, the funeral? Yes, about now.
Top you up?
Oh, no, not just yet.
Mind if I
Oh, of course, please do.
won't be on the TV or the radio?
Oh, I don't expect anybody remembers now. No public interest. You and your friends were pretty quick to sweep the whole thing under the carpet back then. Hardly a ripple back then. Oh, no TV, no radio. We'll just have to sit here quietly and imagine.
I was wondering,
Yes?
did you ever hear from him after...
After he ran, do you mean? After he ran off?
Yeah.
No, except...
What?
I got a card. A postcard in the post.
Really?
In an envelope, just that. A plain white envelope addressed in block capitals. And inside, a picture postcard. No message, no other writing.
So how did you know it was from him?
Oh, the stamp and the postmark, Russian.
Ah.
But it was the card. It had to be him, you see.
How so?
Well, it was a card from the National Gallery, our National Gallery. It was that painting of by Holbein, the French ambassador.
The one with the secret messages or symbols or whatnot?
Oh, that's it. It fascinated him. Whenever we went to the gallery, he'd make a beeline for it. Stood in front of it for hours. Liked to explain to me in detail all about it and anyone who'd listen.
But why send you that card?
Oh, typical of him. He was saying, I know things that you don't. I'm in on the big secret. Oh, he loved being in that position. I suppose he was taunting me as well. Telling me I'd been looking at him, from the wrong perspective.
Do you still have it?
Oh, yes.
Would you mind if I had a look?
Oh, I'll fetch it. Why the interest? You don't expect it's covered in microdots, do you?
Ha! No, of course not. Idle curiosity, I suppose. Touch something he'd touched. I don't know. But like you say, probably one of his easy jibes. He did like to feel superior, didn't he? You know, I'm not sure the wine is doing it for me today. Something with a little bit more punch, maybe. Would you mind?
Gin? I have gin.
Ah, splendid.
I'll join you. Somehow wine doesn't seem to do the occasion justice.
A stiff one, if you don't mind. Thanks. Cheers.
Down the hatch.
That's better. Have you, did you go through his papers at all after you heard?
There never were any papers. I told you that all those years ago. He went without trace.
Nothing at all.
A few photographs. You're in a few. You can have them if you like.
I think I'll pass on that.
You're quite right. I don't know why I kept hold of them. Inertia, I suppose. I didn't want to confront any of that anymore. I'll burn them, I expect, later.
Good idea.
Oh, and don't worry. I shan't be writing my memoirs. The Spy I Knew. That would be a pretty slim volume. So your secrets are safe.
Ah,
Not that I was actually privy to any.
thank you.
But you never know. Maybe he got the confessional bug in his later years. There being no one to admire his expertise where he was.
Oh, God.
Doesn't bear thinking about, does it?
You don't really think, do you?
Now, how should I know? But if it makes you feel any better, I don't suppose he would. he probably wouldn't see the point. Did you keep in touch with him afterwards?
Hardly. He was absolutely toxic. Keep away with the orders of the day. He never tried to make contact, so never really came up.
But you, the department, must have kept an eye on him.
I'm sure we had eyes and ears in their camp, just like they had in ours. But I'd been kicked into touch. Never got to share in any information, assuming there was any to be had.
This is just conversation, isn't it? We're avoiding the big question. The one that's on both our minds, the one that's always bothered us.
Not following you.
Oh, don't be obtuse. Or coy, is that it? Are you being coy?
Why? That's it, isn't it? Why did he betray us?
Betray us? Oh, if it had been another woman, I think that would have been easier to understand and forgive. That might have been understandable as normal behaviour for his sex.
Harsh.
Accurate, but not him. There was only one person he loved, and that was himself. He wouldn't give it all up for some passion, let alone a passing fling. He'd be putting himself in someone else's hands if he'd done that.
It was his class and position. That's what he betrayed.
But it was all an act, wasn't it? He didn't consider that he belonged. He was an outsider by choice. It was all an act with him, an amusing masquerade.
He was damn good at it. He fooled me and a lot of others.
As they say, nothing like hindsight. I've looked at our lives, looked for clues. There weren't any.
And you can rule out ideology. The only thing he believed in was his own superiority.
So why? Why risk position, security?
None of that meant anything to him. It had no value. I came to the conclusion, when I knew the details of what he'd been up to, that it was all about the risk. It was the game itself. I remember how he used to like to mislead and sell untruths at school to other chaps. He was good at it. He was never found out, and then liked to reveal his hand with a flourish.
A game? Just that?
No harm done at school. But the betrayals cost lives.
That's it? That's all it was? Vanity?
Vanity, a feeling of superiority, ego.
Oh.
What does it matter now?
But if he was so accomplished, why run when he did? Surely he could just continue to play the game as long as he wanted.
Oh, sorry. Forgetting my manners. Do you mind?
No, feel free.
Long time ago. Probably no harm in your knowing now. That was down to me. His hasty exit. All down to me. My mess, you see. Up to me to clean it up. That's what they said, anyway. Last job and then finished. Clean up and then washed up. You see, he may have thought he was invincible. And on his own, he was right. Ironclad, that was him. But there were others. And it was them who let him down. The chink in his armour. There was the drunk. Absolute loose cannon. And the queer. Well, they were uncovered. And it was guilt by association. Well, that's the way it went. Oh, do you mind if I...
Oh, go ahead.
Thanks. Now, that's better. Lubricate the tongue. Now, where was I? Ah, yes. Right. Well, I pitched in on his side. At his urging, I have to say, he played me like all the rest. But you couldn't let down a pal, could you? After all, I knew him so well. What a laugh, eh? As I say, I had a word or two in the right quarters, persuaded them to move him somewhere less visible until the heat died down. Well, that he could come back into the fold. Reputation untarnished. None of us wanted to believe he was dirty. Not really. We moved him to the Middle East station, watching brief in Beirut.
Ah, I wondered what all that was about. There we were, all set up in Washington, and then suddenly pack up and move to the Middle East. He'd been hankering for that Washington job, Washington posting for some time, and he was cock-a-hoop when he landed it.
I bet he was. Right in the centre of things. Access at the highest security level. Probably couldn't believe his luck. Nor could his masters.
Oh, he was
probably.
He was devastated about the move. Now, of course, I can see that it wasn't just losing a plum job. He was starting to run scared, knowing he'd been rumbled.
Don't you believe it? He had an iron nerve and a belief in his own superiority. I don't reckon he was rattled at all. Anyway, off to Beirut we sent him. Couldn't do any harm there, we thought, and there were eyes on him, naturally. He must have thought he was off the hook. He did have a good opinion of himself, of his competence, his expertise, and he let his guard down. This time there was no avoiding the obvious conclusion, and something had to be done. So it's me for Beirut.
Yes, I was surprised when you turned up. Not your usual stamping ground.
No. I confronted him, of course. I laid out the evidence. First off, he tried to put things in a favourable light. Right then I saw, again, the boy I'd known at school, revelling in the mayhem his pack of lies could create. He tried to bully me too. That was none of his stock ploys. Occupy the high ground of superiority and talk down to you. I could see it was all a game to him. A game that fed his monstrous ego. Anyway, this time the weight of evidence was too great. Not anything that would stand up in court, you understand, but then this wasn't going to get near a courtroom. I confess I lost my temper with him. I told him a few home truths, and I set him straight. After that he turned cooperative. Too cooperative. He stopped short of implicating Her Majesty, but he came close, damn close. He was using names that... Let me get the picture. Funny though, some of the more bizarre accusations he levelled turned out to be quite accurate. Later on, that is. Unthinkable then, of course.
The whole sorry mess is unbelievable now.
Well, pretty soon we'd all agreed he'd be too dangerous to keep around. He had to be got rid of or he'd create more chaos than he'd already done. Someone, I forget who, probably a committee decision in the end, said let him run for it. He'd be discredited and conveniently without a voice. Tidy. That's how it would be. Tidy.
The department always liked things to be tidy.
That's how it was. I did what I was told. I just opened the door of the cage, dropped a couple of hints and turned my back. You got the picture? And made straight for the Soviet embassy. There was a bit of a stink in the press, of course, but there was no one around to tell the real story. All died down in a month or so. After that, well, it was just job done. And me for home and the inevitable fallout. Still, you have to take the medicine, don't you?
And was I part of the clean-up too?
Was that?
You said it was up to you to clean up the mess. Was I part of the mess?
I don't know what you mean.
Oh, come on now, since we're being so frank with each other. Your visit, it wasn't to comfort a friend's... What am I? Not a widow? Victim? Was I the last item on your list? Was I being debriefed? Interrogated, but with kid gloves on?
Right, it was like that, I suppose, but... I was sorry. I was sorry for you. Sorry for me. Just sorry. It was a comfort to share adversity.
Oh, I should have realised. And now, how many years since you last came by? And here you are, on the doorstep, bearing gifts. He may have been ironclad, but you're You're transparent, aren't you? So that's what you're doing here. Just closing the case, nailing down the lead.
Sorry?
Oh, please, let's dispense with the protestations of innocence.
Really, I don't...
Your careful offhand inquiry. Anyone else been in contact? As if the BBC is going to ask me to contribute to an obituary. What you meant is, have any little men in trench coats with Slavic accents turned up on the doorstep?
But really...
Oh, it's a wonder you didn't stage a burglary. Rip the place apart. Looking for what? I'm surprised you haven't bugged the phone. You haven't, have you?
Dolly, please.
Well, have you?
No!
Special brands aren't watching the flat, are they? A couple of bored coppers in a run-down white van parked along the road?
Don't be ridiculous.
Oh, well, it's you who are ridiculous. Don't you realise all this cloak and dagger stuff is a thing of the past?
Orders. Just following orders.
Well, whoever sent you should be ashamed. Ashamed of wasting our time and raking up all the muck again. It was bad enough at the time.
Sorry. I'm sorry, but...
And that's all there is left to say. You're sorry. Well, so am I. Sorry that I was ever involved in this farce. Sorry I've been left on my own all these years. Sorry, just bloody sorry.
I should go, shouldn't I?
Got what you came for. Now you're going to take to your heels?
It's not like that. Sorry, oh... Last it's like a cracked record.
Shabby. That's what this was. Shabby. But then the whole affair was shabby from beginning to end. A sordid storm in a teacup with vicious consequences all round.
Sorry!
Oh, what difference does it make? What's another act of betrayal, more or less? Oh. Oh, poor Tom. You really did reap the whirlwind, didn't you? Oh, sit back down. Of course you must stay.
Thanks.
We need another drink, that's what. Do you want to finish the wine, or shall we have more gin?
Oh, gin, please.
Good choice. Give me a glass. You can keep it.
What's that?
The card. In your pocket. A memento of a sad occasion.
You saw.
You're out of practice. Yes, you're out of practice. You must have lost your touch. There you are. He's probably sniggering to himself wherever he is, enjoying the last echoes of the mayhem he's created.
That would be him, all right.
Arrogant, self-obsessed bastard.
You think it'll make the news?
Oh, only as a footnote. I was reading the Telegraph obituary when you arrived. A couple of paragraphs, that's all. We all prefer to forget. More convenient, somehow.
Such a sensation, though, when he went.
Now, nothing more than an embarrassment. Get rid of him as quickly as possible. Turn our attention to something important.
You think he was an embarrassment to them?
The Russians?
His masters?
Oh, his masters all went long ago. The new people, they believe new things. They have their new lies and deceptions. Yes, they'll all want him swept away quietly.
Not a grand affair, then?
No, no state funeral. A quiet affair.
Still, maybe a mention on the news?
It's time. You can listen if you want.
Yes, I'd like to hear if there is something.
Something to hear. All right.
Chancellor's Autumn Statement. The Bank of England have again agreed to keep interest rates at 0.5% and now do not anticipate a rate rise until the fourth quarter of next year. And now, a report from St. Petersburg. where the funeral of the spy Gordon Travitt, who defected to the Soviet Union in 1980, took place earlier today.